Welcome to the Great Mohaw's YouTube channel, where Mohow explores everything science and technology.
Hey, TikTokers, welcome back to Tech Talk Weekly with a computer science major. I'm your host, the great Mohau, and this is episode 3 of season 2. So today I just want to talk about my experience as a physics and computer science major. I don't want to go into the requirements of getting into physics, getting into mathematics, because all of that is generic. So basically, if you can get into computer science, because you would require level 5 for mathematics, level 5 for physical sciences, and level 5 for English, and an APS of 30 plus, you will basically be able to get into mathematics, Bachelor of Science specializing in mathematics and applied mathematics, or Bachelor of Science specializing in physics and probably applied mathematics or just physics, right? But it differs from university to university, but most universities will require you to have level 5. So if you're in metric, don't be too hard on yourself. Yes, aim for those distinctions. Nonetheless, it's not all of us who are going to get distinctions. So if you are able to get like level 5 and a level 6, preferably level 6 going to level 7, right? So yeah, if you're able to do that, then you should be on the right track. But then I don't want to be talking about the requirements because I feel like those are just generic. The plan was to basically talk about the requirements for particular universities in South Africa for computer science, and then for the other week for physics, and the other week for mathematics, chemistry, and so on. But then I realized that, the requirements are basically generic. So in order for you to get into Bachelor of Science, to be admitted in a qualification with the title Bachelor of Science, you just require level fives for all those three subjects I mentioned, and an APS of 30 plus, as I said, right? But let's aim for level 6, Level 5, yes, you tried, but level 6, yeah, you gave it your all. But of course, all of us are aiming for distinctions. So, yeah, and good luck with the year for matriculants. I know already you guys are feeling the heat because you started around January. If not, yeah, you started in January, early January. So, yeah, most public schools, that's what they do. I don't know about private schools, but then public schools, yeah, you start around January for matriculants in order to, get a head start of the curriculum, as it's quite a lot, and you have to prepare for the trials, which are around September, if I remember properly. After the trials, then that's when you'll have to write the final exams in November, going to December. Yeah. Okay, so my experience as a physics and a computer science major. Okay, so most of you might know my story, but I'm not going to assume. So I started with a qualification in physics and mathematics, and the the purpose was to basically, or maybe the reason behind that was because I've been into astronomy since grade 4, and I wanted to do anything that has to do with, astrophysics, physics when I get to university. So yeah, I applied to a few universities for physics and mathematics because unfortunately you don't just get physics as it is, you get physics with another major or another module. So I went for physics and mathematics. Physics and computer science, it was one of my options, but my first option was physics and mathematics because I wanted to be an astronomer, right? So yeah, observing celestial objects and all that. I applied to a few universities, and then I got accepted to two universities for that particular qualification. physics and mathematics. The other one was in KZN, and the other one is Northwest University. I told the story, but then I will leave the link. I'll just put, a pop out there so that you can watch that video. And then, yeah, I started out with Northwest University. Uh, Fortunately for me, on my first year, I will also leave the link to that because I don't want to be telling the whole story. On my first year, computer science was one of my modules, and I liked it. I even thought of adding computer science as an additional module to the modules that I was doing because I really liked it. I'm not gonna lie, and it was my highest pass module. So yeah, I then changed the qualification from physics and mathematics to physics and computer science, and the rest is history. Let's talk about the experience now. It's first year, right? 2022. That was my first year. 2021, that's when I matriculated. So yeah. Um, I arrived on campus. I think it was on the 17th of February, if I remember properly. Yeah, the 17th of February, 2022. Arrived on campus. I was supposed to arrive on the 14th, but then I had, some family issues and all that. So I had to arrive on the 17th, on the 14th, and then I had to arrive on the 17th. I was there on time for the orientation and all that, but yeah, okay. Orientation, good. The social life, yeah, it's proper. I'm not a social person per se. I like to identify myself as an ambivert. I'm not extroverted or introverted. I'm just in the middle. But most of the time, you'll find that, if you really know me to that extent, you'll understand that, this guy is a bit introverted in a way. But then, okay. Got there fine, and then we started attending classes. The first class that I attended, it was mechanics. Yeah, it was mechanics, APPM 171. That was mechanics, introduction to mechanics. So over there, it's just applications of, physics laws and mathematics laws, but it's mostly like physics laws, Newton's laws, basically all the laws that you did in matric. And then second semester, that's when they add some new concepts, centrifugal forces, centripetal forces, which is basically circular motion, right? But we never covered it in detail. We did circular motion in detail, I think, second year, first semester, if not second semester. That was physics 2. So I did introduction to mechanics. I did introduction to physics 1. That's in 2022, right? And then I did, computer programming, introduction to computer programming. That's where we did a little bit of Python, MySQL for databases, we're given a project to basically design a website. That's the first time I basically designed a website. But that was not my first time writing a code. The first time I wrote a line of code was in 2019. So 2019, that's COVID, right? And then yeah, I'm there at home. I was, doing, yeah, I was studying, but not studying as much as I used to when I was attending classes, right? That's in high school. So what I would do is to program. I would code basically. I would code in Python. So that's when I basically wrote my first line, 2019. I just don't remember the exact date, but then behind my bedroom door, like I have this paper there, and then I wrote the date, 2019, the month and the day. So I still even have that paper, that code. Um, you might not see it on this video, but yeah, you'll see it as time goes. It's just a simple Python, program. So yeah, that's the first line of code I wrote, 2019, and then yeah, back to 2022. It's introduction to computer programming, and then what else we did? Yeah, introduction to algebra and calculus, because now in matric you do we did calculus, no? But it was term 4. Remember that we are NSC, we are not IEB. So the IEB curriculum, they do calculus in high school, a little bit into detail, but then For NSC, you don't do calculus that much. Basically, they just brush it off. Hence why you do it like, term form. Yeah, metric, we did optimization, that graph, the cubic, the cubic function. That's all that you do basically when it comes to calculus in high school for NSC. But then when you get to university, you will get into detail into what calculus really is. So yeah. And then what other module did I do? Okay, academic literacy was there, of course, soft skills, academic literacy, introduction to computer programming, introduction to mechanics, introduction to physics one. That was NPHY 171. Sorry, and then introduction to algebra and calculus, that is MTHS 171. And then introduction to computer programming, that was CMPG 171. Mechanics, I did say it was APPM 171. And then academic literacy, it was ALDE because it's English. The E stands for English, but then for Africans, there's ALD, ALDA. Yeah, ALDA, ALDA and ALDE. That's how we used to call them. And which other modules did I do on my first year, 2022? But yeah, those were just, the modules that I did. And as I said, I really enjoyed, the computer science modules. Hence, I changed to physics and computer science. So yeah, the year went by, everything was smooth. And then, okay, went to second year, which is 2023. But 2023, yeah, that's when I did like, introduction to physics two, um, mathematics, okay, because since I'm majoring with physics, mathematics has to be there, calculus, it has to be there throughout. And then now second year, I no longer did Python with regards to, the programming module. It was no longer introduction to computer programming, but it was structured programming. And we did that with C++. And then, yeah, that's what we did. And then for physics, we are covering like, circular motion and all that. Then third year, that's when we dwelled into like modern physics. So modern physics, quantum mechanics, and okay, so it was modern physics, quantum mechanics, electrodynamics, and because there were four physics modules, two first semester, two second semester. So for the first semester, it was modern physics and electrodynamics. For the second semester, it was quantum mechanics, and then what's the other one? It was quantum mechanics and what? I don't remember that other one, eh? But then quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat, Schrodinger's equations, and all that. Yeah, modern physics, time dilation. So that's basically what we spoke about. More like, not time traveling per se, but time dilation. Okay, relativity and all that. Einstein, that's where we draw more into Einstein's theories, extra theories. Electrodynamics, it's just applied mathematics on steroids. Yeah, it's applied mathematics on steroids because now you're applying the physics principles and the calculus principles. We are now deriving, there's, a bunch of partial differentiation equations over there. There's integrals because we are basically, in physical science, they used to say something like, when I read the scenarios, the equation was derived from this and that. So that's basically what we do in electrodynamics. There's a lot of mathematics there, a lot of mathematics. There isn't a lot of theory in electrodynamics. So modern physics, that's where you'll find, theory here and there, because I mean, you need to understand, okay, there's a scenario. This guy, an example, a famous example that, they like to make when it comes to relativity and time dilation. It's basically the twins, right? The So basically one stays on Earth and then the other travels to the moon, and then they're just measuring their age, how they basically experience time, and then relativity you can basically use. So you can use like a train on a rail on a railway, right? A train, it's just moving, and then if you are inside the train, then you are basically experiencing time relative, like time different relative to the person who's outside the train. Even if you're on top of the train, somebody who's looking, which is a person we identify as an observer. So an observer who's basically outside that scenario, they experience time in a different way relative to how you experience time. Hence, it's called relativity. So the term relative, it's basically compared to, hence the entire thing, it's relativity. Okay. So yeah, that's not the only example. There's just a bunch of examples, but all you have to know about that is that there's an observer, and then there's a person who's experiencing that particular scenario, or who's experiencing time at that particular point. And then there's somebody else who's experiencing time at a different point. So we talk of events and reference points when it comes to that. And then, yeah, C++, yeah, input output. That's what we mostly did, input output. And then, yeah, we also had a project. We created a library management system. Yeah, no, over there, sweat, tears, and blood were put into that project. And yeah, but it was fun, eh? It was fun. It was a group project. And then that's where you basically, identify the people you work best with, because group assignments, they're not always nice, but okay. My group and I, we worked well, and it's people I still talk to till this day. So yeah, that was good. That was good. But that was my experience basically with physics and computer science. I don't want to keep I don't want to make the video long, but from what I've just mentioned, I think you have an idea of what a physics and a computer science major, how they are live, or how they basically maneuver, or how they, I don't know, lack of a better term, but a day in a life, or maybe 2 or 3 years of a computer science and physics major at university. That's basically what it looks like. But when it comes to physics, I mean, oh, I did chemistry as well. Wow. It was a prerequisite. So a prerequisite is basically a module that you have to do in order to do other modules. So chemistry was there. So I was basically doing all these modules: chemistry, physics, calculus, computer science, and all that. So I had practicals for chemistry, I had practicals for physics, I had practicals for computer science. Luckily, applied mathematics, it's that's mathematics, right? There are no practicals, there are calculus, there are no practicals, but then there are tutorials that you have to attend. Maybe in a week you can be attending 2 or 3. For physics as well, you have to be attending tutorials on top of the practicals that you attend. And for chemistry, yeah, so tutorials are basically extra lecture sessions, but with tutors, not with the lecturers. So these ones, you basically attend them with the assigned tutors for those specific modules. So you will hardly have enough time to socialize and all that, because as I said, I'm doing chemistry, physics, mathematics, computer science, and then there are other developmental modules, mostly on your first and second year. But on your final year, at least you know the modules. Yeah. Now you can focus on your majors, which is physics and computer science. The developmental modules, they are no longer there. So maybe you'll get time to socialize here and there, but we are different as people. For me, 2022, I was unable to socialize. 2023, unable to socialize. The only social active I would say I was part of was just me going to the gym. So I would go to the gym each and every single day. You see how I look right now? This is not how I looked, but it's fine. It's not about that. I used to go to the gym. I used to go to the gym each and every single day. Then yeah, no, I realized, no, 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 no. It's really taking a toll on me. Academics were there, especially 2024. Academics were there, sitting here, sitting on my neck. And yeah, I would go to the gym, but not consistently. And due to that, because I was also like, consuming protein shakes, um, if you don't go to the gym consistently, it's a problem. Your muscle mass it reduces. So yeah, but that's my experience as a physics and computer science major. I really hope you do, uh, maybe you take something from this video, and when you get to university, you don't do that. Because I mean, yes, there are certain mistakes that I made, and hopefully you don't make the same mistakes, right? So yeah, yeah. But then it was a nice journey though, challenging but nice at the same time, rewarding also because in 2024, oh man, so at our campus they have an observatory, and myself as a person who's interested in astronomy, I mean we just go there. So an observatory, it's more like a telescope, but it's a bigger telescope for observing the stars, planets and all of that. So we went there. It has to be done at night, right? We went there. It was around 8 p.m. going forward. Yeah, we were there, and then there was this an American astronaut. He was there with Professor Midube. If you're into astronomy, you would know Professor Midube. Yeah, he was born in Northwest, hence why I would assume that's the reason, he's still in Northwest. But yeah, none of my business. But then Professor Midupe, he's I think he's basically the first black astronomer in South Africa. I think he is. I would just, have to check with regards to that, and then I will verify. But I think he is, But just check Professor Midupe and then write astronomer. You'll see who I'm talking about. So yeah, the American astronaut was there, just telling us about the opportunities that are there, because it was only like, physics, students there. Because I mean, on my third year, we're not a lot. I mean, in the entire university, physics students, it was only 80 of us in a classroom. And I've been saying this, that's basically unheard of, especially at a lot, like, because it's a big university with around, 40,000, students, but there's only like 80 third year physics students. So that one over there, it tells you what's happening in there, because I mean, the 80 students, it's not like all of them are from that particular year. Some are from the previous year and the year before that. So, yeah, it's going down in there. Quantum mechanics, it's no child's play. Electrodynamics, that is no child's play. But then, yeah, hopefully you'll survive. I was able to survive first semester. Second semester, yeah, it was a bit shaky, but okay. Second semester, that's when we did like quantum mechanics and then the other module that I don't remember. But modern physics and electrodynamics, okay, yeah, no, that was good. But for me to go through electrodynamics, that was a struggle. That was a struggle. Modern physics, nah, because I mean, there was this app when I was in high school. I think the name of it is Quantum. I remember I was in grade 10, so I was reading through that app. It had all the information, I needed. So that information from grade 10, I had to apply it now on my third year at university. So check it out. If I remember properly, it's written Quantum. Yeah, that's a nice app over there. Okay, tech talkers. I think that would be it. That's my experience as a physics and a computer science major. And yeah, hopefully, as I said, you pick up some things, and you don't make the same mistakes that I made. If you picked up some of the mistakes that, I made throughout my journey as a physics and computer science major. With that said, keep coding, and I'll see you on the next episode. Shout out.
Brought to you by Royal Mercy Institute.